Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Alicia here at Cosmic Gateway. I am back with a beautiful soul sister of mine, Jenny. Welcome, Jenny. I
Ah,
just, I just relish in our conversations because there's always so much, not comparison, but there's correlation. There's so much correlation in the work that you do, and we don't speak for a bit, and then we're like, oh, so
I know,
I,
I know. And you know,
I
I,
got.
I think one of the things that's so found fascinating is like even when we've shared past experiences before we even knew each other,
Mm,
you can look in your journal and I can look in mine, and we were working on the same thing.
yeah.
And that is it's the coolest thing. It just shows you how coordinated everything is
Mm,
and how there's so many, hands on deck. Like we're all really working to move this forward, and it's just simply amazing. Simply
yeah,
amazing.
it's incredible. And we'll probably get there soon, but you just piqued me because obviously one of our correlations from the previous years until, actually getting to know one another was the Egypt thing. You were
Mhm.
working on the capstone and I was working on the capstone at the
Yeah.
same time. And you've
Same
got Egypt
time.
coming up again.
I do. Yeah. And so the last time when we were working on the capstone, there was a group of us that had within us the memories of when it was intact.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
we basically worked on it because we had a private inside the pyramid. And so it was like when we reinstalled that capstone, I saw energy going down the sides and then down underneath. And I told the group then, and this was 2024, I said, there is major stuff under this pyramid. And it wasn't long before it all started coming out, right?
mm-hmm.
And so that was really very cool because to me, what I feel is under there is rejuvenation tanks.
Oh, that just sent chills through my whole body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like both of us are like, yes, the chills, right? It's the yes, we're on the right track. I freaking love it. I'm gonna close this blind a little bit. Um,
God, yeah.
but
Let's
yeah,
bring that
so
out, shall we?
well, yeah, because and we could go deep if you want to go deep. So
Go. I'm here.
here's where I've been with this. So,
Mm,
there was at a point in time when these energy centers, and this is not like Egypt is the only spot, right?
mm,
These
mm,
energy centers are active.
mm,
Um, we could go rejuvenate ourselves and then
mm,
pop back up, right? It could be
mm,
50
mhm,
years, it could be 25 years. And society continued moving forward until we decided we were done, and then we laid down the body. And whether
mm,
that was, you and I, or the ones that were working on this. So we're talking about the Sumerians, the Essenes, the Atlanteans. There was all of this understanding. But when the
mm,
capstone got taken, think about it like this. So if the capstone is a translator or a transducer, maybe, it brings the energy down, it translates it into something tangible,
mm,
fills these rejuvenation tanks that
mm,
then would feed our bodies. Okay, so then
mm.
we would, this is the true med bed.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then when the capstone got taken away, people had to figure out, especially the ones that were afraid to die, they had to
Mm,
figure out, how do we rejuvenate ourselves? And this is where some of the darker sex magic came in. They
hmm.
definitely tried that. There was a lot that was wrapped up with the priestesses. And what it narrowed down to is adrenochrome.
Oh, yeah, I felt that. Mm,
So, what the adrenochrome is taking from particularly young ones when the pineal gland still is so beautifully open and connected to source.
hmm.
And it gave light, energy, rejuvenation, but completely the wrong way.
Mm.
Completely the wrong way. And so the grouping that's doing that, they're disconnected from source. And at this point, yeah, they don't want to die because they know what's coming. And I'm not referring to hell, right?
Mm.
I'm referring to we sign up for a particular experience, a particular grouping. It's like signing up for a degree, or maybe I should
Mm.
say the military. You're not getting out of the military until you complete your 4 years, right? So you have a grouping that found a cheat code
Mm,
and they don't want the other side of the cheat code because we're in a universe that if you murder, you're murdered, right? It's not the same lifetime, but it is an experience and it's not judgment. If you love, you'll be loved. If you give, you will receive, right? You will
mm,
be given to. That's how this works. This universe works on reciprocal balance. And we are a little out of balance right now, but there's a lot of work going into restoring that true balance. And so, and it's not necessarily like the judgment, right?
mm,
We're here to experience and we're here to experience it all.
mm,
But there's another reason why our lives are shorter than what they were, right? Because
mm,
we're able to experience more lifetimes. Learning is faster, right? There
mm,
is also you know, once people start to change their vibration, they're like, nah, let's cut them off at the knees. We need a world war. Let's get rid of all the men, right? And now let's draft the women. Let's
mm.
really decimate it. So there is that manipulation, but that manipulation is being had by the same grouping. It's the same grouping.
Yes, it is.
And so, but I mean, think about it. What if our lives were 800 years, but you needed 15 lives to complete your degree?
Mm. That's
Right. Versus 80, 70, right? And
mm.
so it's like everything is both. It's like the shorter life is in our highest and best, and it's not.
Mm. Hmm.
Because we don't always see correlation. We don't always understand what it is we're truly creating because we
Mm.
can't see the long goal.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I was telling you, I recently had a dream. You and I were we weren't running, we were actually walking through Isis's temple. And I reached out and I was like, Egypt, Egypt. I'm actually really excited to go. I didn't expect it, but that seems to be the name of my life right now. It's like I
Mm.
think we're going this way, and then Spirit comes in and says, I know you thought that. That was really cute. We're going this way.
Right. And when you messaged me, I just laughed. I was like, yeah, Egypt has been a love affair of mine this lifetime that was unexpected. So back in
Mhm.
2008, I had organized to go to Spain for a month, and then my plan was to fly home via Hong Kong and meet my dad in Hong Kong, and we were going to go spend a couple of weeks in Tibet because I'd been there the previous year, and I just love, like, it was the first time I ever felt at home my entire life was
In
being
Tibet?
in. Yeah,
Mhm.
like I kicked and screamed. I didn't want to come home. I tried to lose my passport. I'm like, how can I just stay?
If I see it, you can't make me.
I just, yeah, there's something about that place. And so anyway, the next year I said to Dad, right, let's go back. Um, and we had booked and paid and everything. And in the last minute, it was 2008. So funnily enough, I'm born on Tibetan Uprising Day. So I think there's something auspicious about that, what I learned, of course, like, and they had had some trouble there and they shut the borders. So it was like no go. And
Wow.
I was like, oh, well, I'll just come home. And my dad was like, well, he was in holiday mode. He was like, well, I don't want to miss out. Like, he's like, what can we do instead? And I was like, oh, and I said, well, my friend's going to Egypt afterwards. And he's like, right, let's go. And I had a resistance. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Egypt. I was like,
Hmm.
oh.
Yeah.
So we did. And I feel like I almost feel like I got, I can't think of the word, but it was like, I got sort of co-opted to Egypt. Like it just kind of rerouted in that
Uh-huh.
way.
That's probably the only way to get you there.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And I like from the moment I stepped on the soil, I just had flashback after flashback after flash, and I was like,
Hmm.
"What is this?"
Yes.
And to the point, I've been there 3 times, and I
Wow.
walk through that place like a local. Like no one gets like, I mean, you've been there many times. Like you
Hmm.
can't go to places unless you're in a tour group, and they have, I don't know about now, but back then there's a
Yeah.
lot of rules and regulations. And I won't go into the wild stories of me in Egypt, but like I became very familiar with that land, and it was probably the most comfortable place I've ever walked. I've like I felt so safe and secure there.
I did
Like
too.
yeah, but I
I
know
did
that that's
too.
not everyone's experience from what I've heard.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've heard stories, but first off, the guide that we go with, top notch. I mean, absolutely incredible. Like he's now like a family friend.
Mm.
It was like instantaneous. I was like, I've known you forever. Um,
Hmm.
but I felt very, very safe. And I had some resistance going. I was answering a
Hmm.
soul calling. I said yes. I do that. I
Mm.
say yes, even if I don't want to.
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of funny, and it always works out. I kid you not. I say yes every time, and then my human kicks and screams and bitches and complains, and it always works out. But I still have to have my little moments of a temper tantrum and somebody get me a piece of chocolate kind of thing, right? But it's Egypt, I fell in love with it.
Mm.
It
Mm.
it but even with that, I didn't expect to go back, right? Because I have a lot, my laundry list of things in my mind that I'm to be doing. I'm like, but I've already done that. Um, for me, it was the people, it was the food, it was the
Mm.
temples, right?
Mm.
And I will say it was exhausting.
Yeah.
Like there were some nights where I got done a day of energy work and I'd say to Danny, I can't go to dinner. Can you
Mm.
please go to dinner? Don't worry about me. I'm gonna sleep. And then he would make sure everybody was, fine and have dinner with them. Um and then he'd bring me like a plate of fruit or something, and I might take a bite or two, and I was out. Because it was a huge energetic
Mm. Yeah.
change, right? And I was very similar to you. I walked onto the land and it was like things were downloading immediately. And the visions and the knowing and the things that just came up,
Mm.
they were
Hmm.
huge. I don't know what it's going to do this time. Um, this time, I since January I've been working so closely with the Sophia energies, but it's the solar Sophia.
Mm.
And it's like I've had people go, I don't get it. What is the solar? But everything is two. Everything. Like we look at the moon and we say, oh, the moon is feminine. Well, the moon is also masculine.
Mm. Hmm.
Everything is two. So we've
Mm.
always seen the solar being masculine, the moon being feminine, but what's happening is we're
Mm.
switching, right?
Hmm.
And it's not so much a switch and we stay fixed, it's that we can go back and forth. But
Mm.
what we're bringing in is this solar feminine. It's that Christ consciousness. It's that, I don't even know how to describe it. It's very lion-esque, meaning
Mm.
from like the
Yeah.
Lion Kingdom,
Mm.
the only age, and it is bright and it is powerful. And so that's the work that we're going to be doing is anchoring in that
Yeah.
solar
Oh.
Sophia and working with all of those ley lines, starting with the pyramid.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll have a private in the pyramid. We'll be working with like, Sekhmet type energies and there's a lot that's going to be going on with that. It's like in my head I can say, okay, here's what we're going to do, but I can't tell you what's going to go down because you just don't know. I mean, when we were in the pyramid, it was like we had to get up early, we had to be inside the pyramid at 5 a.m. and which is great because it's warm, right? But and
Mm.
you're so hot. You're so hot climbing up into the pyramid, but you get into the king's chamber, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm comfortable. I'm not even hot. And so, Egypt can be a little funky, right? They're fine with Christians, they're fine with Muslims, but they're kind of like, we really don't want these spiritual groups coming in and changing things. That's it. They don't care if you come in, but they're kind of like, you can't do your ceremonies in public. My guide was very much saying to me, he's like, guys, put your pets away. He would call our crystals pets. And he's like, just put we don't need to advertise, put your pets away. Because there was a group that did get thrown out of one of the temples.
Oh,
while we were
interesting.
there. Oh, they took them to their hotel, got their stuff, and took them straight to the airport. I mean, that
Jeez.
was a go to
Okay.
jail, do not pass go, do not
Mm,
collect $200, right? So he was like, this is serious. It's out of respect for the country and things like that. Okay, fine. Um, but so we're in the pyramid. We were told, we really don't want you toning. We really don't want you holding a ceremony. Just be with yourself inside the pyramid. So then, he had paid off guard and he was like, if you guys want to hold hands and you guys, you
money,
can.
money talks a lot there. I
Money talks, right?
like.
And so we're all holding hands. And then now, so this guide, what he does is we call him the whispers because it's these earphones you wear. And he's got a microphone, so he can talk soft no matter where we
Mm,
are, and you hear him. And so
hmm
it's nice because you can hear him over top of any other group that could be in a temple or anything like that. And it kind of does keep us in
mm.
alignment, and working well as a group. And so I all of a sudden hear the most amazing toning. And I'm looking around like, which one of you crazy people is doing this? Like we were told no. And it was so beautiful that I actually thought our guide was punking us, like that he had had a YouTube on the microphone. That's what I honestly thought, right? That he was, because he has a great sense of humor. I thought he was punking us. But then I'm like, all of a sudden I see his face and he's looking at me and I'm like, I don't know. And then a masculine tone came in and it was the most angelic, incredible sounds I have ever heard. And I was just like, once I realized, okay, there's no one in my group doing it. Because, I mean, if someone could sing like that and that type of baritone or that type of soprano, and I didn't know, like, and then I realized he wasn't punking us, I was like, I need to be here for this. And so then we just sat in this and just received, right? So we get out of the pyramid later, and he goes, "Who's doing that?" I'm like, "No one." And he's like, "Oh, the pyramid. There's always something weird that happens in the pyramid."
Holy, what? That's
It,
insane.
I kid you not. I kid you not. The most amazing thing.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like when I look really with any sacred journey, I don't have a clue what's gonna happen. I swear, I'm just a good little soldier, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I'll go here. Yes, I'll do this. I don't freaking know.
Wow.
So,
Incredible.
isn't that wild?
What
And
an
so it was
ex
February. I had this dream. And I was walking with Isis and I was moving my hips. Now I have a spinal fusion. And so I've been working on mobility in my hips to actually be able to move them to whether it's to move the limb for energies because they just, man, they like wanted to block up, right? And so in this dream, I'm really moving them, almost like kind of like snake-like, but almost belly dancing like, right?
Mm.
And I'm laughing as I do it. And she turned around to me and she said, the snake energy runs through you now. She said, "Welcome home." And I was like, "Thank you." I was so
Oh,
excited because my hips moved. And then she said, "It's time to go back to Egypt." And I literally, in my dream, I laid out a calendar and I said, "Tell me when." And she pointed at November and she pointed at February. And I said, "I can't do November." I was like, I'm like, November is going to be the end of this season and it's senior year. I just can't do it. And I'm like, but February, I can do February. She said, "It is done." I said, "Okay." And I woke up, I contacted the guide and I said, "You want to do it again?" He's like, "Absolutely." And so I started creating the trip. And then this time I rented a private boat. So you know how like you can cruise down the Nile. But the boat we were on last time, it was beautiful. It was really nice. Rooms were awesome. But we were surrounded by people. So it was difficult for us to meet, to do anything, because you do need to be a little aware of your surroundings, right?
yeah.
And just because it's considered disrespectful. We don't need to be disrespectful, right? So, but on a private boat, we don't have to worry about anyone else. We don't have to worry about offending anyone else. So it's going to be 4 days down the Nile, stopping at different temple spots, but we've
So
got our own boat, right? To
cool.
where
Mm,
we can meet
mm.
and we can do group meditations and we can connect and debrief after some of these sites.
We
And
need
so I'm
that.
really, you
Yeah.
really do.
Mm,
You really, really do, because everyone receives differently.
mm.
But when people have the courage to share what they received, even if it's like, I saw magenta, but they don't know why they saw magenta, but have the courage to say it, 9 times out of 10, someone else in the group says, I saw magenta and then I saw this, and it all of a sudden it creates a picture.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
Mm.
I love that, right? Because I really do see that anyone who comes on my trips, whether they consider themselves to be spiritually gifted, you are, because I wouldn't be on your radar,
Mm,
right? It wouldn't call you.
mm,
So I love that. I love the camaraderie. I love the
mm.
let's get down and dirty. Let's talk about this. Um, my favorite stuff. So yeah, so we were walking through Isis's temple, and we were talking about a couple of things, and we were really talking about the shift that is here right now.
Oof. Can we?
Mhm. Yes, we can.
Well, that I've been to Isis Temple. That's the one in Aswan, isn't it? Is that the one? Is
Yeah, I
that the
think
one that
so. It's filet.
Philae? Yeah, and
Yeah,
it got moved. Yeah,
it did.
it's not.
But the
Mm,
energy center, you can stand there and you can connect straight with the energy center. So the original spot was starting to flood. And we're going to
that's
find
right.
that. We're going to find that. We're going to find all over the world some of the old energy spots
Mm,
are no longer going to be accessed. The new ones are coming online right now. There's new ley lines coming online right now.
hmm. Yeah,
And
there is.
so we're going to be shifting with them. But if we understand that we are the earth, we are these energy spots, what it says is some of our older spots, the way we've worked, the way we've done is going offline.
Yeah.
And the newer spaces, they're coming online and they're bringing us a lot more.
Mm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So just last week, actually, you pinged me on two things. I was getting a lot of downloads back in end of 22, I think it was, around the shifting of the ley lines and the nodal points
Mhm.
and where the sacred points were in some points where there had been dark magic or ritual. Because of the shifting of the grids, everything's moving. You can see it with the birds, like
Mhm.
everything's kind of moving around. So it brings a couple of things into play. It was showing me that, and I had this happen in my house. It was like where there were portals or grids, nodal points that were holding like black energy lines, or where, let's say, there has been a place where there's been ceremony, and it was, you know, it was, what's what I'm looking for? It was kind of set in that one spot, localized. That's what I was looking for. It's shifting. So then all of a sudden a dark portal was popping up in my house and I had to shut it down. Like it was showing, like,
Uh-huh. Got it. Got it.
but it's also what you were just talking about. There's these higher streams that are anchoring in that are recode. It's like a recoding. I can see
It
it all as,
is.
oh,
It is. Yeah.
it's just this last
I
weekend.
mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you go. You.
So, I mean, if we look at Atlantis, that was the head, right?
Mm,
Well, really, Lemuria is rising right now. And there's a lot that's going to continue to come online. I can't even tell you how long it's going to be, but it's beginning to rise, but it is really the beginning. Yes, there's been lots of people who have tapped into it, but it's not the same as what is happening, which is really that grid is rising.
mhm.
Um, and then from there, what it feels like to me, and I could be skipping some things, but it feels like from there we go more into think about the Pangea, right? When all the continents were together. It's heart and head whole.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there was this separation,
Mm,
right? We're going to find that we're going to
mm,
come back together. And whether that's land masses rise in between,
mm,
or if it's truly the coming back
mm,
together, but we're returning.
mm,
I mean, it's we can call it New Earth, and it is new in a sense, but I mean, I kind of see it almost like a bell curve. Like it's like we came into the experience, we came in, we fell, and we fell again, and we fell again. And then it's like belly of the beast down here, right? And then now we're on this way back up. But if you look at the line, so if you have a curve like this and you look at the line, we have already passed this Atlantean.
mm,
And now is where we're really bringing in Lemurian. And that's
yeah.
further up on the bell curve. And
Yeah.
then we
Oof.
move up again. And it's fascinating because it feels to me we're going to walk out of this experience. I don't know exactly what it means when I'm saying that,
Mm, yeah.
but I had been told eons ago that like my death would be me walking out of my body.
Yeah. I've been told. Same.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what if there's going to be a walking out of the body back into the one that didn't go into this experience? And yes,
Hmm.
sure, it looks like a death here,
Mm,
but I'm not so sure it is. And that's what we're heading to.
yeah. Yeah.
Now, simultaneously, I think we're getting ready to live longer.
Great.
I do.
Mm, hmm.
Um, when I was in Maui, the experience there was
Yeah.
otherworldly.
I wanted you to touch on that because I've heard you talk about it, I think with
Yeah.
Todd, but for those who haven't, like, please, because I want to talk about these experience because I think they're going to become more and more
Too.
accessible to more people, and that's where the window
Yes.
that we're in right now.
Yes, absolutely. Because I don't really see it as like, oh, I'm special. It's not that. It's that I was in the place to receive.
Mm,
And I said yes.
mm,
Which I'm gonna tell you, the more we say yes, the faster this goes, the more, even if it's like, I said yes and then I have had a frozen shoulder ever since, and I just had it worked on again today. And it's like that's my resistance, right? So
mm,
saying yes isn't perfect. It's not everything magical unicorns, and it's not what it is, but it's still you're saying yes, e- even though my shoulder's frozen, even
mm,
though I'm scared, right?
mm,
And you work yourself through it. So on Maui, I wasn't there 24 hours when there was three of us, and I'm so grateful for my two friends. I mean, I think they were there so that if I lose this, they smack me. That's truly what I think because they were there, they witnessed it, they experienced it with me, and the energy of you're moving to Maui came in. I mean, and it came in hard. And so one of my friends comes over, she goes, looks at me, and she swears I had the universe in my eyes. And I remember like looking at her, and she kept looking at me like this, like turning her head as I'm going, I'm moving to Maui. And she's like, I believe you. And later when the doubt came in, she's like, Jen, I saw the universe in your eyes.
mm,
She said, I knew. And then she sat there on the couch next to me. And so she was receiving. And then one person was laying down and was like, get out here. You got to get out here. And she's like, why? I'm like, you just do. The sun is so pretty. And it was gorgeous, right? And in her home, it's a condo. It looks out onto Lanai. So it's got water and then another island. What I noticed is that from the time the sun got to the top of her sliding glass door and down below the island, it's like 30 minutes, right? That particular day, it was 2 hours. And so we're sitting in this living room staring straight at the sun as it's setting. And it starts flashing, spinning. It would do this thing where how like an X-ray will flash and everything goes white. It was doing that. And it
Oh.
did it multiple times. And then we would look at each other and we're crying. I mean, and they're like, "Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?" Like, holy shit, what is this? Right? And then one of them, she's like, "I can't," and gets out of there. I'm like, "No, no, no. Mm-mm, back into the light. Like, there's no escaping this. There's no running from this. Like, you're here because this is yours. Like, get back in the light." Right? She's like, "It's so much." And I'm like, "It is, and we're here for it." Um, and so from the rest of the time on Maui, not only were we telepathing, but the bodies began changing. And I could feel cells rearranging.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that the true med bed
Yeah.
is not going to be something you lay in.
No, I've been saying that for
It
a
is
long
going
time.
because a med bed you lay in is programmed by someone, something.
Mm.
And could it be beneficial? Sure.
Yeah.
But this is from source.
Oh, source intelligence,
Yeah. And
internal.
it comes in and it
Mm-hmm.
starts operating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts shifting. And the three of us prior to arriving on Maui, all of us, and we didn't, it's like we kind of talked about it prior, but not really, because nobody always wants to bitch, but we were all in tremendous pain to the point where I was like, I can't believe I have to sit on a plane for 7 hours.
Mm.
I was in so much pain. I had so much nerve pain down both my legs. I couldn't even drive to get to the chiropractor. And Danny was in Texas. So I was like, he kept saying, "Go to the chiropractor." And I'm like, "I don't want to bother him," is what I kept saying. And what I didn't want to say, because he was at a buddy's house, is I can't drive. I didn't have the strength in my foot to do a gas pedal. And so I'm going, how am I going to be on a plane tomorrow? And hilarious. Universe sends me an email from United. Get first class for an additional $250.
You.
I was like, yes, please, thank you. Because I was like, maybe this will help. A bigger seat,
Mm.
and then I didn't realize you could extend it out and it was actually a laying down first class.
Oh, nice.
And that was how I got through.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. Well, after the sun did what it did, we had no pain.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And then there was this one thing, one of my girlfriends, she was sitting on the beach. Two of us were in the water snorkeling, and we come up for air and we're, to kind of get bearings, and we look back at the beach and she's talking to somebody, right? And I read body language pretty well. And I'm like, who is that? Right? Because I'm like, you could see the chemistry, right? And I'm like, what is happening on that beach? And so then when we got out of the water, we go walking up. I'm like, who are you talking to? She's like, what are you talking about? And
Mm.
we're like, and we both were like, we saw him. And so again, she's like, I didn't talk to anybody, right? And then so she starts describing him and she goes, oh my God. She said, I was working on the fact because we had picked it up the day before to where in some ways, she was still married, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there'd been a divorce, but there was just parts of her. It's vows. If you don't break vows,
Mm.
that piece of
Mm.
paper that
Oh,
calls
yeah.
divorce doesn't mean anything,
Mm.
right? So I was sharing that with her, and I had given her some tips on how to work with it. Well, she sat on the beach and was working with it. That guy was her ex-husband. We saw him because when the other one described him, she's like, oh, "That's my ex-husband," and she's like, "Holy cow!" I'm like, "We saw him." There was no difference between a physical being and one that was called in. There was no difference.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And so, she was funny. She was like, wow, now I know I was actually doing something.
What great confirmation for her. Yeah.
But I mean, but it felt very natural.
Mm.
And there was so many beautiful synchronicities. Like I went to this swap meet. I don't know why they call it a swap meet, but it's like a vendor's market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go buy some things for my grandkids. And so I'm standing there and there was this, older Hawaiian, I'd say definitely in his 70s, right? And so he starts asking me, he said, why do you like Maui? And I don't know what possessed me, right? But I was like, I usually work Atlantic. I've always worked the Atlantic coast, even if it's down into Central America, down
Mm,
that way. And I'm like, I've never really done the Pacific. And I was like, it's different. He said, well, how is it different? I said, I do energy work. And I said, and when I work on the East Coast, it reminds me of like a really nice goblet that you hit with a spoon or something, right? And it's that
mm,
crystal ting. And I
mm,
was like, but here it's deep and it's a
mm,
heartbeat and it thuds and it moves through the body and it grounds you and it reminds you that you are not separate from the earth.
mm.
And then he looks at me and goes, you're moving to Maui. And I said, I think so. And he goes, you are very welcome here.
Oh,
And I was like, thank you. Because I mean, they can,
oh,
some of the locals can get
yeah.
really pissy about the amount of people coming in. And for him to say that, it was like all of a sudden that fear was like gone,
Mm.
right? It was like,
The
it's going to be,
invitation's been set, like it's gonna,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then I went into a crystal shop and there was a tarot reader, right? So I said to my friends, I said, do you mind? I said, this is big and I'm just kind of spinning here, right? I hadn't even told Danny. And so I was like, but will you guys come in with me? And and so like they did come in and she before she even shuffled, she said to me, she's like, you're moving to Maui. I said, yeah, I think so. And she goes, oh, there's no think. She said, if you don't, you will be dragged. And I was like,
That's how
yeah,
it
I had a
works. Yeah.
feeling. I had a feeling. And then she's like, you'll see. She's like, it's like I see a dollhouse. She's like, they're taking you from one house to another house. And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's going to be much, much smoother than what you think. Um,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Mm.
well, all right. And the more I went into it, I could feel the Lemurian grid and really
Yeah. Oh.
anchoring that. And then working with people, even if it's bringing them to the island for a retreat or something like that, they then get these codes. They go home, but they become an anchor point on the grid. And
Oh.
it's not small. It's
Mm-mm.
big. It's
Mm-hmm.
big. And it makes so much sense to me why the past, I'd say 18 months
Mm.
has really been a grinder, right? Losing friends, issues with relationships, having to exert different boundaries, make new contracts with, mates or friends or whatever, because this energy, it's not allowing for the small. It's not. It's not allowing for ego either, because there's a big difference between going, I know who I am,
Mm. Mm.
right? Versus
Mm.
what can
Mm.
be ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me
Mm.
when looking back, hindsight 2020, but in it, I'm going, what is happening? The times of like, what did I do wrong? Um,
I love that story. Like that just, I mean, we've spoken not on camera, off camera, and I've touched a little bit on my new reality experience that I had a couple of years back. Well, I'm back at the place where I was having part of that experience. And I was curious because I was like, are some of the places that I went to actually exist or like timelines, right?
yeah, yeah.
So out of curiosity, I was guided to do this whole grid work all last week, all weekend. I'm like, I barely got here and barely even settled, and it was like, okay, go here, go there. Which will segue into I want to talk about astral tagging, but I actually went back to two of the places that were pivotal. Like I had this experience where I got in a taxi and it cost more than I had anticipated. And when it came to the crunch, I didn't have enough money to pay. I was like $20 short. And I was like, oh my God. I was having like a panic. And I checked my account and I was like, no. Oh. And then this, I think I was talking to a friend or I had this kind of download like, no, you're a creator, just manifest whatever you need. And I was like, well, I need an extra $20 to pay the cab driver. So I go back to the ATM 2 minutes later, and there was $20 deposited in my bank account. And you know how it normally comes up with like where? It was blank. It was blank. It was like the universe was only
Like, here you go.
he. So, like they were not like that was happening on a daily basis while I was in that consciousness and embodying it. And like you said, my body changed, like everything
Mhm.
healed,
Yeah.
and the what I was shown and experienced that the physical and non-physical, there's no like loved
There's
ones that
not.
apart, there's no, yeah, it's all and
Uh-huh.
I've been, that's a bit to get your head around if you haven't had that type of experience, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Because you can get really heady with it and that takes you out of it,
correct.
right? Like the
Yeah.
moment you start trying to go, well, wait a minute, what about, and then it just takes you out of it. It's like
Mm.
it's all here and it has to stay here. And how long were you able to hold it after the experience?
I was in it for about 6 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that had to have been hard because I mean, for us, I held it for like 3 or 4 days when I got home.
Mm.
And couldn't hold it anymore.
Mm.
I
When I
mean, I'm
say
leaving
6 months,
Friday for
like
Maui.
that timeline was active within me, doesn't mean that I wasn't having wobbles,
Oh, okay.
but it was definitely how I understand it was a future version of me walked in and I was operating in that consciousness of what I know is coming and I was experiencing it, but it's a mind trip, but
That actually makes a lot of sense to me
mm,
because I we were out snorkeling and I was doing the Eden codes and which I had an amazing turtle experience, but we were doing these Eden codes, putting them down, and I'm in my head going, can I really do this? Can I pull off a move to Maui? And they kept saying to me, they said, you already have, walk into the you that's already here. You've already been working
oh,
Maui. I
mm-hmm,
know. And I'm like, okay, well, can we speed this up? So I'm simultaneously like, like, because we're going to go after Maddie graduates. So
mm,
we're thinking like once I get her into college in August next year,
mm,
we're going to
mm,
go.
mm,
Right.
mm,
And so I'm like, okay, I've got this 15-month timeline in my head. And in one aspect, I'm like, that's forever. And then the other aspect of me is like, this shit's going to fly. Like,
mm-hmm.
I, we're going back to Maui, because Danny's never been. And yeah, I
Oh,
know.
so you both going together, like coming up on a big
Mhm.
day. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we
that's
we
pretty
fly out
powerful.
Friday morning, so we'll be for the solstice in Maui. But like when I called him from Maui, he in that morning, I told him, I said, I need to move to Maui. You want to come? And this is what I did to him with Colorado. It's like, I need to move to Colorado. You want to come? And he said, he knew something was up because he kind of woke up saying, wherever you go, Jen, I go. So he got the memo beforehand. And then he was like, no, that's fine. And so, it's such a funny thing to think like he's just like, no, it's fine. We're moving. And I mean, and truly,
Mm.
he is selling stuff in the house. He's already,
He's already in preparation mode.
oh yeah,
Like,
he's
yeah,
like the engine, you know what I mean?
yeah. Mm.
Um, Sometimes I feel like the caboose, but he's like this engine and he just starts moving everything. And then I said to him the other day, I was like, I'm nervous. What if you don't like Maui? And he just looked at me and he goes, oh, I'm gonna love Maui. Like, you
Yeah,
idiot. Like, what are
yeah.
you
It's not
doing?
gonna. It's not gonna look Maui.
Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, so after I got back from Maui, what downloaded in was the Lemurian white dragon.
Oh, okay.
And there's an entire white dragon brigade is what they call themselves.
Mm.
And then the one I was connecting with, she felt really old and ancient. And when I was like talking to her, I was like, oh, you're so old and ancient. She's like, we don't need to call me old.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, you are so after my heart.
Mm.
I was like, okay, we're well seasoned. She's like, much better.
I can roll with that.
But this Lemurian dragon energy is coming online hard. And I feel like I'm just dipping my toe into it.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's just going to continue.
Yeah. Do you get a sense of, I mean, I guess no one really knows. I always come back, no one really knows, but what you experienced in that new reality, I call it the new harmonic because it's
Yeah.
like it already exists, but we're trying to like really walk in and stabilize it. And I agree with you. I've been shown exactly. I can't wait till you go to Maui. I'll be the first visit. Like I'll be right there.
You're like,
You'll be
hello.
unpacking, and you'll hear a knock at the door.
Yeah. It's
Jenny.
me. It's me.
um, I do believe that these portals are opening up to access that frequency, and then we're distributing it and we're recoding, which is one of the reasons why I'm up here. One of them. And I was always, that's how we like, there's pockets that open up and then we disperse that energy. But have you got any understanding of the unraveling of how it may go down for others to tap into that? Is there any, or it's just sort of like,
I mean, I was definitely shown like the nodal points on the grid,
mm,
and like more and more people are going to become anchors.
mm, yeah,
And so we've got like this whole third wave is waking up.
mm,
Right now they're pretty angry, which I get, right? I mean, I get.
kind of,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
mm,
I mean, it's definitely a stage of it, right?
yeah,
To where you're just kind of pushing against the machine
mm,
instead of realizing the machine's never going to turn off. You just need to walk this way, right? And
good,
create a whole other thing.
yeah,
But they will. And once this grouping comes online and they start anchoring the
mm,
new instead of screaming,
finding it,
hollering
yeah,
about the old dismantlement,
mm,
things will shift quickly.
I
That's my
agree,
take.
yeah, I agree,
Because it is going to take the majority of us.
mm, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
My sense is, so my experience having ended 23 into 24. Um, and what I've been told is there's another wave, like what I experienced was quite an isolated. I since then I've only started to meet people who've had a likened experience. Or
Mhm.
I'm sure there was many others, but to actually find someone was like
Absolutely. Yeah.
hard and you know. Um, but since then I've heard of other people have come to me, but what I get is that like right now we're in another window period of accessibility for more people. So like what you described, I think more people are going to have, whether it's a day or a week or however long, to access it, and that's a part of the anchoring that's occurring. and
Yeah.
then
I agree.
it's and then more people can, and so I'm kind of excited because I feel like we're at this kind of threshold point where we have the greatest opportunity to kind of access it more and ground it through. And it was just so funny because going back to like all the places, like the two significant places I went back to that were like, I walked into a cafe and it literally had a sign out the front saying all profits from this cafe go to charity. And I looked at the sign, I was like, how does a business run? Like, how does that work? And I actually took I'm sure I would have a photo still on my phone. Maybe it's not there anymore. I went back and it was there, but it wasn't open. And it was like, this is at a peak time. And I was like, interesting. So I go back to this other place where I manifested the money to find a particular restaurant where I had lunch. Mm-mm, not there. And I was like, interesting how these timelines, like the actual building was there, but everything looked a little different. So it shows
Mhm.
me that I was definitely operating in a different
Differently. Yeah.
reality.
A
Yeah.
different space. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Well, and I think one of last night I was sitting with July's energy. starting to work
Talk
on my
to
energy
me.
report.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges is going to be anchoring it in.
Mm. Hmm.
And we're seeing, I'm seeing, where more and more are they're in these upper chakras all the time
Yeah.
and they're not anchoring in. So it's interesting because I feel like when you're here and up, you can have experiences, but you can't anchor them. You can't live them. So they're just moments. But the ones who are anchoring, like I'm hearing more and more people say they're walking away from spirituality. And there's a part of me that's like, makes sense.
Mm.
Absolutely. Because in many ways, spirituality has been another religion, right? And
Hmm.
now we're getting into this grounded, very
Yeah.
like, no, this isn't me worshiping, me practicing. This is
Mm.
me.
Yeah. Me
And that's the
living.
difference. I mean, it's like there's no distinction in my world.
Mm.
I mean, mainly because, I work from home. Everything I do, I don't have any separation.
Mm.
It's just all me.
Mm.
Um, but it's interesting because, I can definitely see where I've compartmentalized, but for the most part, if you know me, it's not like, oh, that's what she does 9 to 5. It's what I do
Right.
24/7.
It's an extension that goes all. Yeah.
Right. And I think what that's calling for is for us to anchor it through our bodies. And the more we can anchor it, the longer we can stay in it, the more we're going to experience it, whether it's in pockets, which very possible, different nodal points, different sacred sites. We're going to access this
Yeah.
because the seeds were laid for us by ourselves.
Correct. I was gonna say, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's how I actually see this working, is more and more people walking away from institutions, walking away from belief systems,
Mm.
and walking into themselves.
Yeah. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Yeah.
Um, I mean, one of the times that we talked, we kind of touched on the divine unions.
Can we? Yeah. Let's.
Yeah. Um, during Yeshua's time, we always hear about the 12 disciples. We always hear all this stuff. But the truth is, it was a huge grouping of them.
Hmm. Mm.
Th- this was never alone.
Mm.
This was
Mm.
never just Yeshua and Mary Magdalene against the world. That's not how this works.
Mm. Mm.
And so there was a large grouping of them, and it was 144, which was 72 males, 72 females. These were divine unions that came in, and they were helping to open portals. They were helping to really bring in different realities so that Yeshua was able to shift into light body.
Yeah. Oof, oof.
And so, and don't get me wrong, I think that there can be divine union couples of two females, two
Hmm.
males. But
Mm.
generally you'll find one is dominant feminine, one is dominant
Correct.
masculine.
Mm. Mm.
So it's not the body shell. It's
No.
what is the dominant energy that you're sharing. And it's like, so I'm dominant female, but I'm definitely working on the integration with my masculine. My husband is dominant masculine. He's working on the integration of the feminine. His feminine, my masculine merge. My feminine, his masculine merge.
Mm.
Okay. And this creates a toroidal
The.
field.
Oh.
And it changes things. Like, you can connect with someone and you can get into that toroidal field. You feel high.
Oh yeah.
I
Like anyone
mean,
I know that's been on in a union experience, it's
yeah.
a really different reality.
You're like, I'm altered.
Oh.
I'm like, I can't possibly drive.
I remember once I was so high on activate, I couldn't even walk properly. I couldn't even function my legs properly. I was tripping over my
I've
feet.
been there. And but it's very powerful. And a couple can
Oh,
shift
sorry.
their
Sorry.
reality. What?
I just that particular night that was, and it was like Egypt vision. It was all happening, and then the next morning I was staying in a hotel, and I walked downstairs to get a coffee, and I didn't even look past the mirror. I just kind of got up and went, coffee. And the guy at the reception looks at me, and he's like, "Big night, huh?" And in my mind, I just went, mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, "But not what you think." It was, so I must have looked so
But I mean,
disheveled.
how do you explain to
Sorry.
people that you can be with your mate and you guys are just drunk and you didn't take anything?
Right.
That water thing. But
Sorry, keep going.
I mean, but it's hilarious because, we have done this and really just with the usually like this heart-centered conversation of what do we want going
Mm,
forward? What
mm,
are we creating? What vision do we see for ourselves, right? And then, you get into these energies and you create this
mm.
toroidal field and it's manifestation at the highest order.
Oh, yeah. Mm,
And it's fascinating when you see what it shifts in your world, right? So this time around, the hope is to have 72,000 holding the feminine, 72,000 holding the masculine. That's 144,000 people that are actively doing this. But the importance of this is the understanding that there can be a lot of fuckery aimed at divine unions
oh, yeah.
because of the power they hold. So this can look like, and I shared with you, and I share with everybody, Copper, you're fine. Um, Danny and I were fighting, right? And I stepped back and I realized he couldn't hear me.
Mm,
And then like literally stepped out of myself, was watching
mm,
myself, watching us, and I realized I couldn't hear him either.
mm,
It was like we literally could have been saying the same exact thing.
mm,
We couldn't hear it. We could not hear each
mm.
other. We couldn't break through whatever this was. And it was so unnatural.
Thank you. Yeah. I want the definite, no, you don't even have to, but I want you to emphasize, because I say things like that and people go, oh, it's your own shadow. I was like, no, there's a very big difference to it.
Huge difference.
Internal shadow trauma and a synthetic energy, or like outside, is a
Yeah,
difference. If you can read energy, there is a big difference.
it's a
Sorry.
huge difference. It has a different quality to it, right? It feels different. It sounds different. It even smells different, right? Like it's different.
Yes.
And, so then when I dawned on me, I reached out to a girlfriend that I had trained shamanism in. And we've been fast friends ever since, right? You always need somebody who's got your back. And so I just messaged her. I'm like, I need a little bit of help here. Can you just take a look at us? Something's not right. And she came back very quick and she said, Jen, there was something. And she said it was like a tail up both your asses. And I'm like, oh, I was like, did you remove it? She's like, yep, it's gone. I had to, work with this being to get it out, but it's gone.
Mm,
And the funny part is like, it was so fast. I mean, a matter of 3 or 4 minutes,
mm,
right? It was like boom, 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 done. He and I started laughing. It was like all of a sudden I couldn't even tell you what we were fighting about.
mm.
And that's another
Yeah.
clue, right? If
Yes.
you have no idea what you're fighting about, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, particularly when truly at that stage we had fought more than our entire 32 years of marriage. That
Mm,
doesn't make any sense
mm.
because I couldn't tell you why we were fighting. I mean, usually it's not like that we didn't fight before, but I could tell you
Yeah.
why we fought. I could
Mm,
tell you what the issue was, where one wasn't providing for the other, or vice versa. You know it
mm,
because you remember it and you learn the lesson and you move forward,
mm,
right?
mm,
But we couldn't with this. But the funniest part was after the tails were removed, we both started belching sulfur. Oh, and then the rest of the night was spent laughing and grossing each other out. But honestly, it was like that fast. That fast, it shifted us. And I'm like, that's when I started questioning why? What is coming after unions, right? Because Danny's working on his own divinity within, mastering his masculine and feminine. I'm working on it too, so that we can merge and stay that way, not just in pockets, right? Which we can get
Mm-hmm.
there in pockets, but it's not
Yeah.
all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
life's crazy. We still got a kid at home, there's bills, it's life.
Mm.
And so it's not always easy to stay in that plane. But what it felt to me was like I started asking the question of why is there this absolute effort to make sure we don't hit that plane?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it was they shared with me the whole thing about, what it was during Yeshua's time, the whole grouping that came in through the Essenes. Like these were planned beings, planned bringing in souls to support this overall mission. Well, the mission is here again. It's here again. But it's not just one being. And I will say, I think there were others at that time period that achieved what he achieved too. I think there was cluster groupings.
I
I don't
agree.
think, I think the focus of religion put it on Yeshua,
Mm.
but I think that he was not the only one.
And also in a lot of the work that I do around like conception and bringing highly evolved souls in that way, he wasn't the only one. There was so many of them at that time.
There,
Like,
there was, yes, this was a huge planned effort, right?
yeah,
But now it's like taking it exponential is the effort that is right now.
yeah.
And so it's an interesting thing because when I work with someone and they start telling me, like I had a good relationship and then there's this, I always am like, okay, what's coming in? What is really trying to separate you? Um, and one of the biggest things that I would say has the potential to separate is the unhealed trauma. And we all have it. This experience, from the time we went into the bell curve, down to the belly of the beast, and back up, none of us are trauma free. I don't know what to tell you. We're not. And then particularly we can call them star seeds, or I don't know what you want to call them, but these were difficult lives, difficult
Mm.
experiences, and there has been manipulation from the moment you took a breath, and
Oh,
sometimes even
10,000%.
utero.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a
And
big break
so,
point for me.
it's when you have one person in a party that isn't working on their trauma.
Hmm.
It's like you have a house and there's a water leak in the basement. And every once in a while it spills onto the floor, the next level up, and you just clean up that little mess. But there's a massive flood under there that you've
Mm.
ignored because you don't want to look at it. And so I find that to be the cause of a lot of the couples that are splitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because through that watery basement, the place we refuse to look is how things get in that can manipulate.
Bingo. Yeah.
That you can't even see the difference in your communication. Let me let little crazy out. I know, I hear you. Um, you can't even see it. You cannot see the manipulation. You can't, you think you get so into your own righteousness and this person, they're not doing their work or this or whatever it is that you don't even realize that there's massive manipulation taking place.
Then that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's the mind manipulation. Can
Yeah.
we? I just want to go offshoot from that because that's been, you shared that with me and like it did two things. It left an imprint on me of like, yeah, I know that. But it was like it got reiterated in a way that just kind of sat with me in such a big way. And then it kind of lit the fire up. And I was like, okay, how do we work with this? Because I've always known that going back to what we were talking about, to get to that, the couples are so important because the frequency of when they're in that balanced, merger, they can open up that portal of light. And I've always seen it kind of transpiring around that. Like they're a crucial ingredient for what we're in. And I've been working a lot with the snake energy in both polarities. Um,
Hmm.
you know, but every time we've reached a pivotal window where we could have really made a collective jump, the not so nice snake energy has been rampant. Like what you described with you and
Rampant.
Dan, every couple that I know had an infestation of at least one
Mhm.
of these kind of darker, and they just manipulate and they twist and contort and they try and um, distort an inverted timeline, like so you're off, you're here in your trajectory. It kind of pushes you like slightly off the rail, the railroad track. Kind of still kind of feel like you're going forward, but you're kind of a little bit off center. Now, the reason I know we're in such an important period is going back about, I don't know, about 2 months ago. I woke up. Actually, no, my partner called me and he said, "Oh, I had a dream about this big black snake." And I went,
Yeah.
and he's like, "No, no, it's a good thing, isn't it?" And I was like, "Not that one." And he kind of reiterated, what happened in the dream. And he's like, "Can you look into it?" I was like, "I'll look into it. Don't you worry." And that night, not even thinking about it, it came right up in my face. And I'm like, No, I woke up the next morning sick. Like,
Did
and
you?
this is, mm-hmm. Now I had a couple of encounters when I've been bitten etherically, not physically, just, and I'm actually still not 100% from the last encounter, which, but what happened was I woke up one morning and that energy had been around, and I know that it was impacting him. And it was to me to some degree, but I was a lot more aware because I was like, oh, I've done this rodeo before. And literally the last rodeo, it ended a partnership, just, you know. Um, but what I actually saw, I literally woke up and I felt the split of our connection energetically being ripped.
Mm.
And I literally watched an insert of a lower timeline and him get pulled into a portal. And I actually went into panic because I was like, I've lived this before and probably many times beyond this lifetime. But I was like, no, and it was around the time that you shared that. So it's like all these different aspects and elements and experiences coming in. And it was like, no, this is what we need to clean up. It's presenting for a reason. See the opportunity and don't go into panic or into fear of what has played out previously. This is the
Correct.
opportunity to see it for what it is. And I really want to start raising awareness, not with broadcasting any type of fear, but like, yeah, we need to clean up our own stuff that is the weak link, the back door that enables some of these things to come into ourselves, into our connections. And this is not just romantic relationships.
No.
This is any sort of relationship that can power up and create a
Hmm.
positive ripple.
Yeah.
But I think you and I were talking about how it can come into one. It can kind of have a hook in from one person, from an outside third party of an acquaintance, a friend,
Sure.
someone who's close, and it can drain. It can create all sorts of distortion. It can drain finance. Like it can do a lot
Yeah,
of.
for sure. Yeah. Like I was sharing with you, there was a client, and it was in the masculine partner, there was like what I called the viper.
Mm,
And it was these
mm,
hooks and these fangs, but what it was doing was not only draining energetically the one person, it had hooked into their couple matrix, including their financial matrix.
mm,
And it was this siphon that was happening on the, like, it was, but it wasn't, that's just the thing. It wasn't just them, it was the family grouping.
yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of your a lot of your really decent relationships, a lot of them, if they have children, these are light children
Mm,
because they had to come in. This grouping that came in, like the golden children, some of the crystals, they came in purposely into homes, households that would support them. Unlike, the indigos were not supported.
mm,
They were
mm,
not supported because they're the ones breaking the lineage. But your next groupings, your crystals, your rainbows, your goldens, um, most of them have come in pretty supported.
mm,
So if you want to, it's very simple. You want to mess with me, you're going to mess with my child, you're going to mess with my husband, right?
mm.
That's how you get to me,
Correct. Yeah.
which is
Firmly.
very much why I'm very much, I'm like, go ahead, try it because, I can be a very, very nice person until you mess with my husband or my child.
Feel ya. I feel ya.
Right? I mean, I'm not one that will go into battle. It's just
Mm,
not my personality, but I am very much like hardline, like, no, you want to
mm,
try it? Okay,
mm, mm,
let's do this.
mhm,
Right? And
mm.
um, but that's how this works. It's how these energies work. They're going to come in and they're going to manipulate
Yeah.
to
The
take
the
down grouping.
closest. Yeah. The
Yeah,
closest to you. Yeah.
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 And who knows? I mean, think about it. Truly think about it. Okay, so this energy coming in. And it was really hooked into Dan. This,
Mm,
the two-tailed thing really
mm,
hooked into to him. It was like my friend was saying, she was like, the tail was just barely in you. She goes, but for him, it was all the way into his liver,
mm.
which is
Ooh, yeah.
anger
It's
and
anger. Yeah.
all this other stuff. And it was making it so he was actually rapidly losing weight, kind of freaking me out.
Oof,
Um,
yeah.
and
That's scary.
because I mean he's a thin guy anyway.
Mm,
And so I'm like kind of going, why are you losing weight so much? Like, whoa, what is this? And it was absolutely interfering with his own nutrient intake. Like it was
yeah.
literally
Yeah.
stealing from him.
Mm,
And so, okay, so let's say we didn't figure this out. I go to Maui, I get my marching orders, and I call the husband I'm not in alignment with.
yeah. I see where you're going with this.
Can you imagine? I would either have to go separate ways
Hmm.
or I would not follow my spiritual calling, which is a death to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how
Mm,
not to follow it.
mm,
So, and then if you look, it's like my daughter,
mm,
right? What would it be as she's beginning to launch herself? She's got
mm,
college, she's, on this softball recruiting path. What would chaos in the home,
mm,
chaos between parents, what would that then impact in her world?
mm,
It's
mm.
not cut and dry. So, I mean, I would say to couples, first, check yourself. See, what do you have? Are you in a space of defensive ego, right?
Mm.
Are you able to hear what another person is saying? Is your mate able to hear what you're saying? And if they're not, that's where the work is, right? And it could be absolutely entity removal, but it also could be just that really starting to work on what's underneath, what's being pulled
And
up.
yeah, that's it. That's what I call the empowerment way of, dealing with entity or attachment is deal with it, but then look at how did it get in?
How
What
did it
can
get
I,
in?
yeah.
Where was the permissions,
Hmm.
right? Because we're not victims. We are so freaking powerful, it's scary,
Mm.
right? So yeah, it's $20 in the ATM. Now multiply it. And I don't mean by
Yeah.
money, I mean by impact.
Yeah. Mm.
W- We have that ability. I'm not saying it's mastered by
Mm.
any means. Sometimes I'm like, good Lord. But we have that ability, and that's what's trying to be stopped.
Yeah.
Because if we truly can get to the place where we understand we're creating our own reality, that we are master creators, remembering how to shift energy, we changed the whole game.
Mm,
We changed the whole game. And
mm,
speaking of Hawaii, and it's funny because it's not like that was the first time it was on my radar, but I really love the Ho'oponopono
same. Yeah.
because not only is it great for you, right? Hopefully you can't hear the dogs. As much as they're barking, it's probably Amazon because they're like Cujo down there.
Oh, no, I can't hear
Um,
it.
yeah, they're like, how dare you? My front yard. Um, when you're doing Ho'oponopono, you can work on it with yourself, right? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Or thank you. I love you, right? But when we flip to the space of oneness, whenever we see something atrocious, and there's a lot atrocious here, if we can then bring that Ho'oponopono in and use it for that issue and
Mm,
just really it's understanding that in the oneness, the bad guy, it's you too.
hmm. Yeah, it is.
And so it's working more from that space of the one that expanded out to create all of this is now saying, okay,
Mm,
thank you.
mm,
I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what my creation did.
mm,
And it's that level of responsibility, even though it can chafe, right? That
Oh,
level of
yes.
responsibility is going to flip this game on its head.
It has to. Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah. And
But if
that's
we
amazing.
stay separated,
Mm,
individuated,
mm,
us against them,
mm,
this is going to take a while. And so it's like, the being that was tails up our asses, which is really funny because it's like the expression was, I really felt like our heads were up our asses. That's what it felt like to me. I was like, it was one of those things like, this was the stupidest thing we've ever done. What are we doing? Why would we do this? Right? Um, Going through that type of level, doing the Ho'oponopono with that being
yeah. Yeah. It's
and
it's
just, and really
it's a
going, okay, thanks.
neutralization. It's not eye for an eye when it's dealing with these. It's a neutralization.
It's a neutralization.
That's what is the most effective. You can't,
Hmm.
yeah. Mm.
Hmm. And speaking of which, we talked briefly off camera. Let me go a little crazy back in.
Sure.
She's she is so much. Come on. And she's the smallest one and she rules the roost. So she's like 19 pounds. My big boy's 90. My middle one is like 45 pounds and she is top dog. They won't even eat until she eats.
Mhm.
Like it is hilarious. And she is just this little princess, has to have her way, and she will be heard.
Mm.
Yeah, she's trained me well.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, so we were talking, and you tapped on it for a teeny tiny bit about a tag.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the tagging.
Yeah. So when I was in Maui, we went up to Haleakala, and on the way up, and the road is windy, but I do live in Colorado, and we go to a lot of mountain towns, right? Some crazy, like if you've ever been on the Million Dollar Byway. Like it's nuts. And I don't tend to get carsick, but I was feeling incredible anxiety, a crushing, and my
Mm,
stomach was going crazy. But it was more of the crushing. Like it just felt like somebody was sitting on my chest.
mm,
And we get up to the top and we get out. And as soon as I get out, I felt my aura tagged. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I can't believe that just happened. And so then I'm like, well, all right, now I'm going to investigate. Okay. And so I started going into it. I immediately felt the connection between Haleakala and Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, which is a military installation that there's a lot there, a lot there. Um, and so I was like, okay, and I'm like, hmm. And so I looked at my two friends, their auras were tagged, and I'm like, I just said to Spirit, I said, I don't know what you want me to do. How do I need these off. Like, what's the
Right
best
now.
way forward?
Mm.
What dropped in was the trifecta.
Mm.
And in the trifecta, the first time I ever saw it was in Ireland, and it's the three spirals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people say it's Maiden Mother Crone, or it's uh, mind, body, spirit, it's lots of things. But what they said to me, when they said, bring this in, run it through the three of you, and it is cosmic balance. And I was like, huh, all right. So I did. Three of us stood there, held hands just for a second, ran this through us, tags were off, right? And then I'm like, no more, don't even think about it. And so then when we got back to the condo later, I go to lay down and a being pops up and pissed at me, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not here to pick a fight. I'm not even here to clear, right? That's not my job. And I was
Mm.
like, but I am going to run cosmic balance. And I can't tell you which way cosmic balance is going to go
Mm.
because I'm not privy, right? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
I can tell you what my human says for
Mm.
sure, but that isn't necessarily the overall vast picture,
Mm.
right? Of the butterfly wings that creates a tsunami. I don't have that picture,
Mm.
but we are out of balance. And so I just said to this being, I was like, back off. I'm not
Mm.
here to do anything to
Mm.
anyone. I'm not. I really past few years I don't pick any fights because what it'll do is when you pick a fight, when you go into warrior mode, you go into battle, sometimes it'll lower your vibration instead of going, we're doing cosmic balance and cosmic neutrality and let the chips fall where they may. And that is not my choice how they fall. So the being backed off. And so then I started working very much with understanding cosmic balance more because it's difficult, because it's hard to say, what if cosmic balance means somebody needs to get in a car wreck and die?
Mm.
That is horrific to even contemplate, right? We assume what is righteousness, what is good, what is light, that it's always yum, but it's not. There's a lot of yuck. Right? It's a balance because that's what this experience is. You're here to do it all, the yin yang, the yuck, the yum. You're here for it all. But we have been very much out of balance. And so I've been using that. And since getting back from Maui, uh, my two friends and I, we've been using it quite a bit.
Mm.
We've been using
Yeah.
it quite a bit. And it shifts things very quickly. So I
Yeah.
invite anyone that feels called, start using it.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that because you just kind of pinged me on a whole heap of things. I was like, well, I might give that a whirl and see what. But
Yeah.
I have an interesting tagging story of like
Yeah. Tell me.
last week. So I've been guided to different places while I'm here, like go here, go there, do this, do that. And I kind of anticipated it when I was told to come and do this, like move here. And anyway, so there's this one place I was guided to. Now, I found out a little bit of the history. So where this place is, there used to be a notorious institution, institution, it closed down
Mm.
like 20 odd years ago, but yeah. Mm. And anyone who works with the land knows that like attracts like. So if there's atrocity that's happened, it will continue to attract, different facilities of trauma or whatever because of what has happened in the land. You clear that. So now well, in the vicinity, not exactly the same location, but now there's like prisons and juvenile detentions and like all this.
Of
So
course there is.
so I didn't know. I was just like going to a park because there's lots of beautiful parks near where I'm staying, and I'm driving there, and I'm like 5 minutes away, and I know when I'm about to do some clearing because energy starts running like crazy. And I'm
Hmm.
driving, and all of a sudden, I look up in my rear vision mirror and I see what looks like a Ford American sort of pickup truck or van. Like I can see it. It's like you see it in movies, American movies style. And I clocked it because I was like, that looked out of place. You don't really see that often in the style. So I look in the mirror, I see that, and then I keep driving, and then I hear you're being watched, and I felt, and I'm like, oh, I know that feeling. I look up in the review mission, and it's gone. There
Hmm.
was no place for it to turn, or it just, and I was like, oh dear, okay. So I go to this place, I do the walk, but I'm feeling very watched, as you could say. So I'm being hyper vigilant and walking around. And I went back there a few more times in the same feeling like I'm being watched, I'm being watched. And when I got there, I didn't realize, but there's a big sign at the front that says, proceed with caution. This is an old military training camp with explosives, like, and I read it, I was like, what? We're in Australia, we don't have landmines. Like, come on. Like, it was like, make sure you stay on the path. And I was like, oh, this, okay, I'm clearly clear, very much clearing something here. So anyway, a few days pass and I noticed the density and the pain in my body after these kind of, it was
Mm.
like I had to go and like, recuperate. Anyway, one day I'm just like one afternoon, I'm lying on my yoga mat and a lot, I don't know, my yoga mat seems to be a portal. I'm lying there and I'm just like, this Sasquatch just like came right up into my face. And I was like, oh, hello. So unexpectedly. And he had this calm, just really kind of like,
Hmm.
and telepathy, he spoke to me by telepathy and he said, we need you to come back to the place now. And I was like, oh, and I had no intention. So I just sort of got up from what I was doing and jumped in the car and went. And I'm walking again, and this sense of I'm being watched all of a sudden changed. And yes, there was the tagging, but all of a sudden it dawned on me. I was like, oh, it's quite a dense bushland, like forest area where I'm walking. And while I was there, he said, we're watching you and we're in support of what you're doing.
Mm.
And it was just this beautiful moment of, yes, I'm being watched, but I'm also being like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
the full
there's other
circle.
beings that, yeah, it's and so it's made me a little, I haven't been back as often, but hopefully that work's being done. But I've had lots of tagging experiences but in my life, but never the counterbalance so
So quickly.
distinctly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And maybe that's
yeah.
just talking about like the importance of what we're doing and how supportive we are in that.
Absolutely. There's a ton of support, even if my human feels unsupported sometimes. My God, it's so funny because I just get on my own damn nerves. Did I ever tell you what happened to me in Connecticut?
I don't
Or
think
was
so.
it Connecticut? It was the Cape. So there's an area on the upper East Coast, and they call it like Cape Cod, right?
Mm-hmm.
And out in that water, you go a little bit, you've got Martha's Vineyard where the presidents go, and there's big money and all sorts of stuff. So I had gotten invited out there to help this person, one of my clients, with her ley line. She had a negative ley line running through her yard. Um, and so I was staying at this really nice hotel that she had put me up in. And the energy was weird,
Oh, I
really
can imagine.
weird. And then I started noticing they looked like soldiers covered in camouflage, but like the camouflage of like snipers, right? How they're
Mm,
completely like kind of look hairy because they've got all that stuff on them to hide them. And I noticed them following me, but they were technically not there. They were invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And so then one came up too close and I turned around and I said, "You know, I can fucking see you." And it's gone. And then because I mean, and it was such an interesting experience because someone newly awakening,
Right? Yeah.
that can make them feel crazy. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I knew, and it was so funny, and it was like I could not wait to leave. And now, so at the same time that we were there, it was during the solstice, there was
Mm.
that submarine right off the coast that they went down too far and it pancaked them. Did you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah, I
It was the
do.
exact same time.
Oh, oh.
Like there was something so funky going on.
Mm.
Like the whole submarine thing, I couldn't even tell you who was on it, but it felt like retaliation.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and it was very much a message, and so there was a whole lot, but it really kind of clued me into just how much intelligence our military has that they do not share, and they absolutely are trying to figure out who we are, what we're doing on the astral, and things like that. But one thing that you were talking about the mental institution, right? And then now there's all these other institutions popped up. The thing is about mental institutions, there were so many people in them that were not crazy. They
Mm-hmm.
were shamans, right?
Yeah.
They walked into different realms, different realities. Because I know when I was really awakening, if I had shared
Right?
when I was so insecure about what was happening, it was like I was sane enough to know I couldn't say a word
Mm.
because I knew I would be
Mm.
medicated,
Mm.
right? It would be called schizophrenia, it'd be called all of these things. Now I would go in front of any psychologist. Oh,
Mm.
psychiatrist, I don't care,
Mm.
right? I'm like, no,
Mm.
that's your limitation, not mine. But at the time,
Mm.
yeah,
Mm. Mm.
yeah. And
I,
especially because I had head trauma,
yeah,
right? So I
yeah,
had the
right.
the, the
Mm.
brain
You had
shrinkage
the,
when my cerebral fluid column was cut.
mm.
So nothing for someone to go,
Mm.
she's got this issue with her brain. She just needs these meds to stabilize her, right? It would have been
Mm.
nothing. And
Mm.
so when you look at places like that, you had people who were opening portals,
Mm-hmm.
who were being siphoned, who were walking in realms but had no guidance, who were being drugged so that their own capacity, their own discernment was off. Then their aspect of their spirits walking around, right? It makes complete sense to me as soon as you said the jails, especially juvenile, because it's an opening. It's an area where huge things were open that should not have been open nor stayed open.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it makes it so it's literally siphoning the ones that are there, or it's hooking in to make sure that they don't ever change their ways.
I wasn't going to share this, but since you opened the door, that's kind of what I've been tuning into is what's taking place, not on ground level, but underground level,
Yes.
many underground levels.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's essentially a whole mechanism that's set up
it
to
is. It is.
siphon and what it is and I'm going to write a chapter about this in my book from what I've found from these experiences is it's very strategic who they want there,
Hmm.
whether we're talking the mental, any of the institutions, they're looking for a certain frequency
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
can power generate this synthetic grid system is just essentially what it's hooked
that is
into. It's
exactly what
part
it
of it.
is. That is exactly what it is. And they need our energy, they need our participation.
Correct.
And then we get hooked into this false grid
Mm.
and it locks us in place. It really does.
Mm.
Um, Man, the thought just left. It was there and it just went poof, gone. Hmm. It'll come back if it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's a giant loosh. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I recently was working with a client who deep sadness, deep depression. Um, I immediately get in and realize what had happened was he had picked up a suicided spirit.
Yeah, I've had
And
that experience.
yeah, that's a fun one. My daughter had one of those. And it was actually her friend who had committed suicide in high school, and he never
Uh,
crossed over.
yeah.
And I had to evict him, and I said, I know you loved her, so don't
Mm,
do this to her. Because she was going
mm,
downhill, and I could
mm,
see it, and it was rapid. And I'm like, what is this? And then I realized that he had attached in. So, and so I'm working with this client, and he's kind of a little freaked out, right? And I said, look, I was like, what you have to understand is I said, let's say you pass, however it is, car accident, whatever. You're lost, you're confused for whatever reason. There's been, you know,
Disorientation. Yeah.
right, right.
Most
And
of
you're
them don't,
just,
in impact, most don't realize what's happened.
they do not. They do not.
Mm,
And I said, so here you are, you're lost. And I said, you see a small little fire over here, or you see a bonfire. Where are you going?
mm,
You're going to the bonfire, right? And it's
mm,
like some people, the energy they hold, it's the bonfire. And it attracts, spirits that are like, they're lost and they need a body to be in. But it also attracts the ones that want to siphon it because it's like,
oh,
if I'm gonna, difference between like a high nutritious, really yummy meal or some processed rice-a-roni, which one are you
mm.
going for?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, there is this target with people that hold have the light, but don't realize they're holding light.
No, they
That's
don't.
the
And that's
key.
that is
Because the
exactly the
minute
key.
someone goes, my answer is no, and
Mm,
throws the boundaries up, you're not as easily siphoned.
mm,
Yes, there's things that can still happen, right? Because you're still here learning. But these boundaries are key. They're
mm,
really, really key. But you have to know your worth. Like you have to realize you're the diamond.
hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And not from a place of ego. It's from a place of remembering
Mm,
that you come from source.
mm,
And that's the key.
mm.
And it begins to remove
Yeah,
so much stuff.
yeah. So
And I've
powerful.
also noticed aligning to divine will
Mm,
versus free will.
hmm.
It's
Mm.
big.
It's huge.
And I mean, I pretty much I've got mantras I do first thing in the morning, and one of them is it's not my will, it's thy will,
Mm,
and thy will be done.
mm.
And that's part of that yes, even though my human's like, so I mean, and it's big because
Mm,
it's really understanding that we don't know. The human does not know. We really do,
no, we know very, very little.
right? And if we can align ourselves to divine will, then it allows us to walk a path that is much more aligned, even if it
Mm,
makes zero sense in the moment.
yeah, that was a defining moment for me.
Mhm.
Because for many years I knew I was meant to do something and I didn't really have the specifics, and I tried this and I tried that and nothing really kind of came together until I just went, I align myself with divine will, and whatever that means, I walk straight, and that was my daily, and my whole life changed.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, it
wouldn't
is
I
really,
wouldn't say it didn't throw the kind of bunch of pigeons, but like the
well,
chips
yeah,
fall where they need to, sometimes the rearranging is necessary.
absolutely. And it was funny when I was still on Maui and I'm meditating and I'm going, I like Maui. It's beautiful, but I've been to a lot of beautiful places.
Mm,
I'm
mm,
not in love with Maui.
Mm,
right? I'm like, I love this space, this energetic space we're in, but I don't think it's only
mm,
Maui, right?
mm, mm, mm.
And, it was such an interesting thing because they said to me, they said, you have to bring your heart here. And they
Yeah.
referred to Danny and they said, and then it will
Mm,
drop in.
yeah.
You will know, right?
Mm, mm,
And I just said, well, do I have a choice?
mm,
And they said, of course you have a choice, but
mm,
you aligned with divine will.
mm,
And it's very much like either you're aligning with divine will or you're not. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And that it can throw your life into a somersault, right? And because I mean, I definitely feel like that's what it's done to mine, but not in a bad way,
No.
not in a
No.
bad way, but it is very much come what may.
Mm,
And so, it's like when I started really knowing and working on my morning mantras of aligning to divine will, I did have this little small boy voice of like, well, what if that means Danny goes?
mm,
And I just kept saying, come what may,
mm,
right? Like and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that's not
mm,
what's happening, right? No, he was like, I got the memo, let's go.
mm,
It's great.
mm,
Um, but it really is that. It's I will accept the collapse. I will accept the tower because from that I rise. We rise. Spirit rises,
mm,
right? But it's not small. And I will say, I feel like we're being tested right now. And what I mean by that is there's opportunities that may come to people that on paper make no sense, but your heart is there and it's saying, do it, go.
mm,
And in that moment, it's a choice, but it's also a test. It's can you follow where your
mm,
heart is leading you, though your mind is going, the dollars and cents don't make sense, or the whatever the reason is, whatever the excuse is.
mm,
Because in that moment that you allow the
mm.
real world to dictate what your heart is going to do is the minute you're choosing a timeline. And the minute you say, I know it doesn't make sense in the real world and I can't explain it and I don't need to explain it, but I'm going this way,
Mm,
is the minute you're saying, I align to this timeline to where there's a $20 in the ATM, right? To where we can have the sun do these things, to where we can see potential because you're choosing that timeline against all real world evidence.
yeah.
And it's interesting watching people choose.
Mm, mhm,
Do you
mm,
choose your mind? Do you choose lack? Do you choose limitation? Do you choose an excuse?
mm,
And let it be the dictating factor
mm,
for you. And
mm.
in that, you just chose a timeline.
Yeah. That's what I've been shown. So I'm glad you brought that up. Part of this, what I'm doing right now, is like so beyond the rational mind, but I just did it.
I
And
know.
you know what? I've been supported every step of the way, but the resistance that has come at me and the internal, but it like I don't really like, and I was told, go there, you get your marching orders, you go there, you do the work, and you'll get an unexpected surprise. I don't even know what that is. I have no attachment to it. If it
Right.
comes, it comes. If it, but it was more for me to choose the version of me that I'm walking into and
Yeah.
doing that leap of faith. And that's every time we
Eh,
choose ourselves and do what we're called to do, we're actually choosing the higher
we
version.
are.
Mm.
And not only are we choosing the higher version, we're anchoring it in.
We're walking it.
Yeah, we're
We're
walking.
actioning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
I mean, how can we step into a timeline where there are miracles and there is magic or whatever the words are if we can't allow it to work in our
mm.
life when we don't see the proof of it?
Correct. Yeah.
This is a trust fall
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
massive. It's
And
massive. And it's both, Alicia. It's
mm,
both. Your human can be like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I drive here? Why am I walking around this park? This is crazy. And simultaneously have the conversation at the same exact time in your mind of, I know why I'm here.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is both. If people are waiting until this guy over here shuts up, they're gonna be waiting for forever, right?
Hmm.
Do it anyway.
Mm,
You do it anyway.
hmm. Yeah.
And you just trust and you go.
And it's like the training, I see it as the training wheels as we
Hmm.
enter into the new reality because we can't go from in a deeply programmed state of being that we're like excavating ourselves out to, you know, instant manifestation miracle, da, 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 da. Like there's a process of
There
migration.
is.
You can't go
Yeah.
boom, boom. I mean, some people do,
No,
and
we would lose our minds.
that's not healthy to go boom boom.
It's
Trust
not.
me, take
It's
it from
not.
someone
Yeah.
who, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you want uh,
A
a
bridge.
phase. Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Absolutely. Like we need this. We
Yeah, we
need the
do.
bridge. We
Yeah.
are because even if the human bitches the whole time, and mine does the whole time, you still begin to conceptualize it
Mm,
through the
mm,
bridge, right?
mm.
Every time you're like, oh, that worked out. How did that happen? Right? Is you're showing your human that this can be trusted. And and
Correct.
it
Yeah.
and it also it has to, it's like I have conversations with my human all the time where I'm like, it isn't always easy. It isn't always perfect. And if you expect it to be, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Mm,
It's moving into this new space. There's greater ease, there's greater coherence. And I mean, everything I experienced on Maui,
mm.
I don't know, did I tell you about somebody throwing an apple at me? I don't know if I said it in this conversation or not, but it's like so after I did the code work, the Eden codes, we went walking and some guy comes by in a Jeep and he's screaming at me and he throws a half-eaten apple and hits me in the back. And I look at this apple on the floor and bust out laughing. And my friends are like, I can't believe you're laughing at that. And I'm like, it's a half-eaten apple. I was just doing Eden
Whoa.
codes,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, this is the backwards confirmation from the universe that I've done something,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
That all the work that's being done, it pissed off that person's demons. But it so it's not perfect. It's
Mm,
not rainbows and honey all the freaking time.
mm.
I mean, sometimes you follow spirit, man, you're triggering the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You lose friends, you lose people. Like it's not the easiest process. And where push and where you see how much control I have? This dog is like, you think darters are hard. Try this dog. Out the door. Go.
Um, hilarious.
She's actually she's taught me very well, including just to be like with my daughters, because you know, daughters. And just be like, it is what it is, it's fine. And I'm not going to tell you what to do because if I do, you will do the opposite.
Mm.
Like you're gonna do the exact opposite. And so I think that's part of it. It's the understanding when you align to divine will, when you align to your soul, it doesn't mean everything's perfect.
Mm.
Because what can happen is something bad happens and they think they're out of alignment. And that's,
Mm.
it's not truth.
No,
It's not
no, it's
truth.
not. No, it's not.
But one last thing, like speaking about girls. So,
Yeah.
you know, my oldest is getting ready to be 32. My middle one
Wow.
is going to be 29, and then the baby will be 18, right?
Oh my
So
goodness.
I know. I was like, I've been a mom by the time. the little one leaves for college, I would have had a kid in my house for 33 years. Can you
That's
imagine?
insane. That's insane.
I know. I know. I'm like, it's going to be interesting to figure out who I'm going to be after that. Um,
Mm,
one of the things I've done, particularly with my older ones, is I have said to them, I am taking them at their word.
mm,
And what I mean by that, if one of them is like, I'm fine, that means you're fine.
yeah.
And I'm doing this with a lot of people in my life because I no longer, if somebody says, well, I said fine, but I didn't mean fine.
Mm,
I take you at your word because
mm,
I'm wanting people in my life to be really authentic and
mm,
honest. If you're
mm,
pissed off at me, be pissed off at me. Tell me.
mm,
And then we discuss it. But if you tell me it's fine, it's fine. And the more that I've been shifting this with people and going, I trust you. I take you at your word. I'm finding people are reacting to me in a way of they're being more real
mm, mhm.
because I
Mm,
won't feed the lie anymore. Right? And because I mean, I know there's times where it's like I've had something going on, but I don't want to talk about it. So I'm like, I'm fine. And I don't want somebody drilling in, right? And so it's honoring that in people and not chasing them anymore. And it's going, okay, yes, you must be fine.
mm.
And whether it's something simple, we all have two of my girls are Libras. They drive me nuts because they're just always like, no, no, where do you want to go to eat? And then we get there and like, I didn't want that. And I'm like, tough.
Ah,
I mean, not so much anymore, but for many years it was like everyone was just trying to get along and
mm,
not being honest. And in
mm,
that dishonesty, they were disappointed
mm,
or they were causing problems.
mm,
And so it's been an interesting space to where I'm saying to people, I trust you. I take you at your word.
mm,
And I'm watching the shift. And I'm doing it mainly with my own inner circle,
mm, mm,
my girls.
mm,
Um, but I'm watching it and I'm loving it
mm.
because it's real.
Yeah.
And so like one of them, I knew something was up, right? I mean, I can tell. And I
Mm,
said, are you okay? Yeah, but I'll talk to you when I can about it, not right now. Like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
right? It's a truth that
Mm,
many of us have been trained out of having.
yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's part of what's coming back online now is being our most radical, most authentic
Mm,
self.
mm,
It's 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 really wild because it's the growth that it
mm,
brings in is huge.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jenny.
I
Thank
know. I missed
you.
you. It's been
I
so
know.
nice to talk to you. I'm like, I could do this forever with you. I
We
know.
have to do it more regularly. Yeah.
I know we
I get
do.
so much
Yeah.
out of it. And I'm sure that everyone who's tuned in and listened to us, to the end or even parts of it have got exactly what they
Gotten
need.
something. Yeah.
These
Yeah.
conversations are so important because
They are.
it helps those that may not have regular access to these conversations just feel a little bit more
Absolutely.
like, mm,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
and for many of like when you're really just stepping into your own spirituality, you may be the only one in your circle. So,
Mm,
it's these because I know for me, at that time
mm,
I would watch things like this. And
same.
it's what
Yeah.
got me through because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
And I was hiding all about myself because I didn't want to be an institution. So it really brought in normalization.
Yeah. That's been part of, I mean, I was lucky. I kind of had, this was very normalized my entire, so I never had any filter around the
Yeah.
fact that I would say things. And I worked in mental health for a long time before I kind of made this jump. And I used to say to them, I was working as a facilitator, like a trainer, a teacher, and I would make jokes with them, and I would say, you know, because I was very open about, the other aspect of my life.
Yeah.
and loved it. They came alive. And I would say, you know what? If I went to your doctor and I said, I'm seeing visions, I'm hearing voices, and I said, I would be every label that is in this room. And they would roar laughing because they knew it. They knew
They
it.
knew
They
it.
just, oh yeah, they knew it.
Yes. Yes.
They hated the medication they were on, but they
Yeah.
were, they were all in their own circumstances, and you got to honor that for the journey. But they knew it, and they came into my class, and we would talk about things like UFOs or, energies or whatever, and they would come alive. The light in their eyes would like switch
Yeah.
on, and then my peers would say, Alisha, what do you do in your classroom? Why do you get results that other people don't? And I'm like, I can't tell you, but it's pretty simple.
It's a secret. It's a secret. Yeah. That's
you
so
know,
funny because my former life, I worked for Hopkins and I would go out and train in health top and stress relief. And
I'm not
isn't that funny?
kidding. Oh my
Yeah,
God. We've
I
walked.
know. I was totally corporate America and in all of that. Yeah, isn't that hilarious? But I mean,
Wow.
every single step brought me here.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in that job, I looked at it, I was like, if I could just get you on a healing table, oh my God. Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
And that's when I realized I can't fully do what I want to do. I got to do it on my own. So here we
yeah,
are. Here you are. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for
Wonderful.
me, it took absolute health chaos, right?
Mm,
An entire summer in a nursing home walking with Yeshua for me to step into this because I was, between being Catholic, being very corporate
yeah.
America, very just I felt like there was things I had to do.
Mm, mm,
It was like I didn't have the opening to understand that there's a different way of being.
mm, mm,
And, my
mm.
collapse gave me the opening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Generally how it finds us,
which is
isn't it?
why we can't save anyone from their collapse
No,
because the collapse is a gift.
that is
Such a
the
gift.
0 point to rebuild,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I see a lot of people going through right now. So
Me too. Me too.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you can absolutely have compassion, but
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
save anyone
totally.
from it. Don't
No,
save them
because you
because
then
you're
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 taking away
saving
their
them from the
learning.
best thing. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
totally. Totally. Oh,
Well,
well, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been incredible. Before we wrap up, if you want to connect with Jenny or myself, all the details will be this. Have you got anything coming up? You
I'm
know,
working on well, besides Egypt, that's in February. And so people are like I've already got I have my minimum number already, so that's great. And then it's the how do I put this? The container's already building.
mm,
The
mm,
energies are already like it's
mm.
lock, stock, and barrel. Even though it's February, it feels like it's forever away, but then I'm like, shit, it's June. How did that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah.
Um, I've been working on the persecution matrix. I did
Oh,
a group healing on it last Thursday. It was huge. I am going to record that as a meditation and get that out so that people can purchase
mm,
that and then they can get into part two because I originally thought that it would be one and I dove in and was like, no way. No way can the persecution matrix can win hook in one thing.
mm,
So
mm,
that's what I've been working on. And then creating courses on the codes that I bring in
mhm.
and creating ascension codes. I want to start teaching them
Yeah, cool.
so that
Wow.
people can start understanding the morphic field behind them, start using them in their own lives as
Mm,
tools for them to call in.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, make sure you go and check out Jenny's website
Yeah,
and
please
all the
do.
offerings,
Yeah.
uh, and connect with herself or myself if you feel like you need a holding hand through this wild
Yeah.
time that we're in. So,
Wild.
yeah, and let's connect soon, maybe when you get
Yeah.
back, because
When
I'm
I get
sure you're
back
gonna
to
have more.
Maui.
Yeah, when you
Uh,
get back, you'll have more magical Maui stories. So let's reconnect and do
yeah.
another episode. So thank you again. Thank you
Thank
everyone for
you.
watching.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and lots of love to everyone. And
Yeah,
we'll talk soon, Alicia.
we'll
We need
talk
to.
soon.
We really our calendars are crazy. We need to like just schedule it and just
Just
full.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the only way things work nowadays.
All right.
Right.
Well, thank you. Signing off. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.